Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 1205, 1205, Wednesday, July the 29th, 2020. Thank you so much for tuning in. Alrighty, let's go ahead and cover some of the Spygate news that occurred over the last 24 hours. As most of you know, Attorney General Barr was appeared before the House Judiciary Committee yesterday. The purpose primarily being for the Democrats to use Attorney General Barr as a piñata. Of course, he had some fun with them, I'm sure. I haven't had a chance to watch all of the hearings, but I've watched a few isolated clips, and certainly for entertainment value, there was some pretty good stuff there. Now, I imagine that there's some more things to get into there. I know that the issue of Russiagate, the investigation, was discussed, so I'd like to look a little bit more at what may have transpired there. But at this time, I just haven't had a chance to get to that, but I will. But I did watch one clip, and it is Jim Jordan, and he's talking about the unmaskings, asking Attorney General Barr about the unmaskings, and Barr told Jim Jordan that he had appointed this U.S. attorney from Texas, John Bash, to specifically look at unmaskings. And he told Jordan that it wasn't just this period from the time Trump was elected to the time he was inaugurated, and even probably after that, but he told Jim Jordan that no, Bash is looking into unmaskings that went way back beyond that. Way back beyond that. Including the period before the election. Of course, we know that during the time period from when Trump was elected to when he was inaugurated on January 20th, he was unmasked 39 times by Obama administration officials, including in departments where you really wouldn't think they'd have any interest or business looking into Michael Flynn, which is primarily who they were targeting in these unmaskings. But there was probably others that we don't even know about. But I think what's significant about this is I think that this may tie into all those 702 queries, because Barr is certainly aware of that, as is John Durham, because we know that Durham has spoken with Mike Rogers, and probably the number one issue that Mike Rogers would have discussed with Durham would have been all of these unmaskings targeting Trump people. And he may have known something about who was spying on Trump Tower, because we know that the day after Rogers visits Trump during the transition period at Trump Tower, the day after the visit, Trump moves all of his operations out of Trump Tower and moves over to his golf course in New Jersey. And then when he would have, conversations with Flynn and various other people about certain things, he would go out for walks on his golf course with them. So he clearly was told that they've got the ability to spy on you in a building. And so I think all that is tied into those 702 queries, of which we know from Judge Collier and her FISA report that 85% of them searches were not legal. And that's why Rogers shut the program down. And I think that this is probably related to what AG Barr told Jim Jordan. We're looking into unmaskings going way back, well before, the November elections. We're looking at things that were going on in the campaign. And that would take you back easily to 2015, which we know it was in the fall of 2015 when the specific 702 queries, all these illegal, thousands and thousands of illegal queries were occurring. And that was just during the election, late fall 2015 throughout the 2016 election, and then beyond, even into the beginning of Trump's administration. But obviously Rogers, when he did his audit, discovered probably, I would say most likely, that it wasn't even just fall of 2015, that this was going on long before that. Probably throughout, I would think, most of Obama's administration, that this was likely going on. So I think that we may learn some things And I do think that that is certainly a thread that Durham would pull on. I don't think he would just be informed of that and go, okay, well, that's good, and move off on it. I think that that's something that would be very interesting to Durham, and I think it's a thread he would pull on and probably would, dig into. And again, I think the unmaskings and I think the 702 queries are related, and I'll be interested to find out when Durham finishes his investigation what he's uncovered there. And also, at some point, I would like to think that Mike Rogers will be free to speak his mind, and maybe he'll write a book, and we'll learn a lot about what was going on the NSA side of things. But Barr did tell Jordan that there were a high number of unmaskings, not in the order of normal business. So you could think, well, is he talking about the 39 unmaskings? No, that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about a high number of unmaskings, not in the order of normal business. And I think he's talking about what was going on with those 702 queries as it relates to the Judge Collier report and the shutting down of the 702 program that Rogers testified to in front of the Senate Intelligence Committee. So we'll definitely want to stay focused on that. I think there's a lot to be learned about the relationship between those 702 searches, Fusion GPS. Certainly, we need to know who the contractors were. I think, isn't that what everybody wants to know? Who were the contractors? A lot of people think CrowdStrike, Confusion GPS, Nellie Orr, Glenn Simpson himself was associated with the CIA, open source research, all these sorts of things. Could have been Comey's good friend, Benjamin Witz. It could have been any of these people, or whatever. And I'm not so sure it's only limited to 3. Rogers may have discovered even more. So that's a point of interest, and we'll continue to follow, and hopefully we'll find out more from Durham's investigation, or hopefully someday Mike Rogers will write a book. Although, knowing Mike Rogers, he probably wouldn't. A lot of that intelligence stuff, I think he may not want to talk about. He seems to not. He's definitely not someone who wants to go out. I mean, I'm sure Mike Rogers has had offers to go out and be a Fox News contributor or a CNN contributor or some kind of a contributor. You don't see Rogers ever doing really any TV interviews. He doesn't do these op-eds. He doesn't do tweets. He doesn't do any of that. Rogers retired and faded away. You don't hear much about him. So a real legit intelligence guy right there. And but I would like to know some of what he knows. Well. Valerie Jarrett went on with Maria Bartiromo, which I'm surprised, but she did. She looked like she was under duress, but she did. Someone must have told her to get out there and defend Obama. And she tried, but there is no defense for Barack Hussein Obama. We know what he was involved in. And, Jarrett is Obama's right-hand person. She knows all of his business. She's essentially his personal assistant. She knows his business. So Valerie Jarrett certainly knows a lot more than what she lets on. But Maria Bartiromo asked her directly about the involvement of Barack Hussein Obama and his administration in the investigations into the Trump campaign, the counterintelligence operation, the investigation into Michael Flynn. She directly asked Valerie Jarrett about these things, and as you would suspect would be the case, Valerie Jarrett denied that the Obama administration were involved in the investigation in the Trump campaign or anything having to do with Flynn. She says it was handled by the intelligence community, and essentially gave a blanket denial of Obama directing anything, even after Maria Bartiromo quoted Obama as saying, hey, make sure you get the right guys on the job. Valerie Jarrett would not directly respond to that comment. she just went off on a general sort of tangent and never really directly addressed that specific comment. So I wonder why she was doing that show. I mean, she knows that Bartiromo was going to talk about these things. And I don't think anyone expected Valerie Jarrett to go on there and tell the truth. No one would suspect that would happen. So I think the more interesting question, the question about her, anything that we would learn in an interview with Valerie Jarrett on Maria Bartiromo, there's nothing of value there. Nothing would come out of value there because she's not going to tell the truth. So why did she do it? That is the most interesting thing to me. Why did Valerie Jarrett go onto a program where she knew that she was going to be confronted with some things that were very uncomfortable, and she, of course, you, I, all of us know that she was going to lie. She wasn't going to go on Maria Bartiromo and say, yeah, we were deeply involved in the investigation into Crossfire Hurricane, directing it, running the whole thing from the White House, just like Loose Lisa Page suggested. Oh yeah, we were all over the Flynn thing. We were directing that as well. No, that wasn't going to happen. That's what happened, but that's not what she was going to tell us. So why did she go out there? Well, my guess is, again, she's Obama's right-hand person. Obama his name is coming up a lot in these investigations, and it's taking its toll. And my guess is Obama probably doesn't feel like he can just sit back and stay quietly on defense, that he has to get some of his people out there to speak on his behalf. But they have to be extremely careful of what they say, because they don't know what Durham knows, nor do they know how far Attorney General Barr may go. He said that no one in this, that they're not targeting Obama, or even Biden for that matter. But that's what he said at the time that he was being interviewed. But once Durham finishes his investigation, or gets to a certain point in his investigation and starts dropping criminal charges or reaching plea deals, there could be new information that could come out which could change that equation, so that Barr would easily be able to say, well, at the time we weren't looking at Obama, but a year down the road we're getting plea deals, we're getting people signing statements, legal statements, saying that Obama did know about this or that, such as Loose Lisa Page, Peter's been stroking us, Pre-Step, Comey, McCabe. Any of them people could find themselves in serious legal jeopardy and think the only thing that can save their neck is to give up a big fish. And they're all pretty big fish. There's not a fish much bigger than them than someone. I mean, when you're Comey or Brennan or Clapper, or Strzok or Pre-Step, there's only a couple people bigger than you in the pond. A couple fish bigger than you. And in these people's case, it's going to be someone at the senior level of the DOJ or FBI, which, you're talking Comey, you're talking McCabe, and the only people above them is the president, really. You could say the DOJ, okay, well, Loretta Lynch or Sally Yates. Okay, you could say that, but I think everyone knows that this thing would come from higher up than them. And are they going to throw what? Loretta Lynch and Yates under the bus? Are they going to stand there and be thrown under the bus? No, they're not. They're going to cover their butt. So I don't think that Lynch or Rice or Yates will, accept a criminal charge, a guilty criminal charge, or a guilty criminal plea, or a finding of a criminal charge, being guilty, anything like that. I don't think they'll do that to preserve Obama. I really don't. So I think Obama realizes that. Excuse me. And that's why Valerie Jarrett was out there on TV. Obama's getting nervous. That's what it tells you. He's getting nervous. I mean, I'm not suggesting that they're going to prosecute Obama. I don't think that'll happen. I'd be extraordinarily surprised if that happened. But Obama cares a lot about his legacy. And when this whole thing is finally aired out, he may be thinking, well, we can just make it a partisan thing. That Democrats and the media who, leftist media pretty much are the media in this country. Obama can say, well, you know, the history books will reflect what the media reported, and what our party says was our party versus their party, and their party made these accusations. It was all just political bluster. It's all just political attacks. It's just party politics. That's how Obama will hope it spins off on him. But when we're talking about criminal cases, and we're talking about a huge conspiracy like this, if Durham prosecutes this as a large conspiracy, and a lot of people go to jail or cop plea deals and have to admit what they did, which that's the only way they get a plea deal is if they admit what they did. You know, they don't get to continue to lie and get a plea deal. They have to admit to what they did. The record, the legal record, will have much greater standing than media reports or political, bickering back and forth, or political statements or positions or whatever. Ultimately, what Durham does is going to carry a hell of a lot more weight than anything that the media is going to say or report, or what Democrats are going to go out and say on Sunday morning news programs. The record 10 years from now is not going to reflect what the media was saying or what the Democrats were saying. The record 10 years, 50 years, 100 years, 1,000 years from now is going to reflect what actually occurred in the courts. And I think Obama knows that. And I think he's looking for some cover. Now, maybe after he's gone and left this world, he won't give a damn. Maybe all he cares about is the next 20 years or something. What people around today will remember. Once he's dead and his generation's all dead, and 50 years from now, it'll be like the Kennedy assassination. People, 1% of the population will have an interest in it and talk about it, but the other 99% won't even. Barack Obama will just be another president. But I hope that doesn't happen. I mean, I hope that the record for history will reflect that when we get to the end of this, that Barack Hussein Obama was up to his eyeballs in a coup, and would be the first president to end the peaceful transition of power in this country. He should go down in history as the worst president in the history of the United States because of what he did. And that's, as far as Obama's concerned, yes, I would like to see him criminally prosecuted. But I just, honest with you, I don't think that'll happen. But I do hope and believe that the truth should be out there, and it should reflect that Obama, even though he may not be criminally charged, he should, without a question, go down as the worst president in history. He should be blackballed, from history, and noted as the guy who ended the peaceful transition of power in the country. That's important to me. So that's what I would like to see come out of it as far as Obama's concerned, because I don't think he'll be criminally prosecuted. And I hope that Barr and Durham understand that and have the same idea. That's very important. I think of all the things that we need to accomplish, holding people accountable, we need to make sure that the record of history correctly reflects what happened in 2016 and beyond. Because when Obama left the White House, he left behind the hand grenades to blow up Trump. And history should reflect that. Well, we also had Devin Nunes on Maria Bartiromo and telling her that he is now opening a full-blown probe into the Brookings Institution. Of course, I think he'll probably send over a criminal referral to the IRS when he finishes his work, because clearly the Brookings Institution was involved in politics. They are a 501c3 corporation, therefore that would be a violation. And so, maybe we can get the IRS. But then again, the IRS, as we know, is run by Trump-hating liberal Democrats, so they probably won't do a damn thing to Brookings Institution. That's why I hope that Attorney General Barr takes a look at possible criminal violations. Maybe Mr. Durham should be looking into what role Brookings played, because they played a fairly hefty role. We should say certain individuals from Brookings Institution played a fairly hefty role, particularly Fiona Hill, because she was a a key player in the impeachment hoax. Nunes points out that there are links between Brookings Institution and Joe Biden, the rotten Reverend Clinton, and Obama that run very deep. Obama gave 4 speeches at Brookings while he was president. 6 members of his cabinet are former Brookings Institute people. So yes, we'll be looking forward to that and finding out what more. I think there's a lot more to come out. And I'm starting to wonder, when you look at this kind of a think tank like Brookings, we've been trying to find the link to MIFSID for a long time. Was it CIA? Was it MI6? Was it Steele? Was it Halper? Was it the Clintons? Who was it that put MIFSID into play? And we know that MIFSID is a think tanker. That's where this guy hangs out. He hangs out in these very type of places. In his association, I'm sure that there are people at Brookings. Excuse me. A lot of these people at Brookings are the very same type of people as a MIFSID. And I'm sure that many of them know him. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe we will find the connection, the link to MIFSID maybe came through Brookings. That's what's on my mind. And it could be Downer, and it could be Halper as well. These are all think tank guys. They're all connected. Chuck Ross. Chuck Ross has a new article where he says that apparently, as we know, Lindsey Graham is talking about getting some transcripts released. He would be talking about transcripts that were done as part of the Russia investigation, where certain individuals were interviewed, and I believe he's talking about the Senate Intelligence Committee, not the Judiciary Committee, the Intelligence Committee. But he's talking about trying to get these documents released. My guess is Barr and Durham are looking at them, making sure there's nothing in these documents that would compromise their investigation, or maybe there's something there that they would rather not have released right now. Maybe it's Ratcliffe that's looking at it for classification and things like that. But hopefully that's what Lindsey Graham's talking about. And it appears that Chuck Ross may have been given a heads up by somebody. Someone must have said something to Chuck Ross, leaked something to Chuck Ross about something that we're going to learn from the transcripts in that Senate Intelligence Committee hearings, because he writes this article saying that he's referring to the testimony that was given by a senior CIA analyst. A senior CIA analyst from transcripts. Now, we haven't seen any transcripts like that. That was all conducted by the Senate Intelligence Committee, and they've released none of their hearing transcripts. All we've got is what was on the House side. So for Chuck Ross to have this information to write this story, someone's obviously whispered in his ear. Because he writes a story saying that a CIA analyst is saying that it was Comey and McCabe who pushed for the dossier information to be in the ICA, the Intelligence Community Assessment, which was, of course, what laid the groundwork for Mueller and the coup plot after Trump was elected. And this CIA analyst is saying that it was solely, he said, if it was solely a CIA decision, that the dossier would not have been included. The dossier information would not have been included in the ICA if it would have been up to the CIA. The CIA analyst says it was a heated and bitter argument over whether to add that into the ICA. And of course, as we know, it was added as an addendum or an attachment to the main body of the ICA. But he's also saying here in this article that Mr. Potato Head, John Brennan, told the Senate Intelligence Committee that a British government official contacted him unsolicited to advise him that they, the British government, were in no way, shape, or form involved in creating the dossier. So here's Brennan telling the Senate Intelligence Committee that out of the blue, unsolicited, a British government official contacts him, Brennan, Mr. Potato Head, to advise him that, hey, we don't have anything to do with the Steele dossier stuff. And he said that in testimony to the Senate Intelligence Committee. So this sounds like it's right down the line of what Lindsey Graham is talking about, and I'm hoping those transcripts will be released. I assume it will be, the way it usually is on a Friday night after 5 o'clock is when this will be released. I imagine it's being looked at right now. Paul Sperry has a couple of good tweets yesterday. Paul Sperry asking, where are the 302s for the March and June 2017 interviews with Danchenko? Iggy, where are the 302s for the March and June 2017 interviews with Iggy? That's a very good question. Where are the 302s? Because Paul Sperry, like me, smells a rat. He's not buying this either. He doesn't go as far as I go, again, because he's a journalist and he has to be careful what he does. He can't speculate quite the way I do. But I'm telling you, there's something fishy about this whole deal with Danchenko. Paul Sperry also says, and the 302 for the August 2017 interview with Danchenko's source number 3, his girlfriend, his boozy girlfriend. And then he says, do they reveal the FBI tried to turn an unreliable drunkard and hustler into a confidential human source versus the president? Do these 302s, what he's asking is the reason why maybe we haven't seen these 302s is because possibly they will reveal that the FBI tried to turn an unreliable drunkard and hustler into a confidential human source versus the president. Exactly. They go to the confidential human source at first, thinking, hey, maybe this is another guy that we can use to go after the president. But they find out once they interview him that he's not only worse off than Steele as far as not being able to verify anything, he actually blows up a lot of the very information that Steele was pushing. And so that's why they didn't want to talk about him. But what was the reason they initially went to him? It wasn't so he could blow up Steele and them. That's not why they went to him. They went to him for another reason. That's the rat I smell, and Paul Sperry smells it too. Paul Sperry also asked, did the FBI pay Danchenko? That's a very good question. Did the FBI pay Iggy? That's a good one. And it's right along the lines of my question, which is, who paid for Iggy's lawyer? I think we'll learn a lot when we find out who paid Iggy's lawyer. Because I know Iggy couldn't pay him. According to Paul Sperry, there would have been multiple interactions, appointments, meetings, whatever, between Iggy and his lawyer. And like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 meetings. And then he had to go represent him for 3 days in hearings. We're talking about in the tens of thousands of dollars. We're talking about 50,000, maybe 100,000, maybe 200,000. That's a lot of money, and we know Iggy doesn't have it. How did he end up with this high-priced lawyer? Who was paying his lawyer? That's what I want to know. And yes, I would also like to know, was the FBI paying Danchenko? They made 13 payments to Christopher Steele. Were they planning on developing Danchenko and paying him as well? Remember who went to interview him. Crossfire Hurricane crooked, corrupt cops who were part of everything else. A lot of questions remain to be asked and answered about Iggy before I'm prepared to buy the narrative that's currently being put out there. When you talk about who paid for his lawyer, I have some suggestions of who it could have been. Like I said, could it have been the FBI? Was the FBI paying for Iggy's lawyer? Was the Brookings Institution paying for Iggy's lawyer? Was the rotten Reverend Clinton paying for Iggy's lawyer? How about George Soros or related groups? I think we're going to find out who was paying Iggy's lawyer. And I'm telling you right now, when we find out, we're going to find out, A, it wasn't Iggy, and B, it's someone connected to the plot. Lindsey Graham says he will be interviewing Brian Alton, that senior FBI analyst who interviewed Iggy, right along with his partner, FBI Case Agent 1, Stephen Soma. Lindsey Graham says he will be interviewing those two fellas. Boy, oh boy, I just hope he asks the right questions. Ask the right damn questions. It appears this is a name that comes up over and over and over and over again in Spygate. And he's connected to the Lawfare Group. He's connected to Brookings. He's connected to all the left-wing think tanks. This guy's a real a-hole. He was also involved in the defense of Blasey Ford and the Kavanaugh stuff. David Laufman. And now we are learning that David Laufman is the one who negotiated the immunity deal for Iggy. David Laufman negotiated the immunity deal for Iggy. Now keep in mind, amongst other things, David Laufman is also the same guy who advised the Mueller team to open FARA cases, however you want to pronounce it, against Trump's aides and advisors. Same guy. Same guy who's coaching Mueller on how to go after Trump people because he couldn't find Russian collusion. Well, hell, go after him on FARA violations then. Here's how you do it. Same guy. He's a plotter. Is the guy negotiating the immunity deal for Iggy with a lawyer who we know Iggy can't afford. And Iggy's lawyer likes to do a little tweeting from time to time. On December 8th of 2015, key date, December 8th of 2015, Iggy's lawyer. Donald Trump is a huge asshole who is ahead in the polls because millions and millions of Americans are also huge assholes. That's Iggy's lawyer. Clearly an anti-Trumper. And what do you want to bet that he's connected to the same people? He's a connected guy. He's not just some lawyer that Iggy went out and got. This lawyer, Iggy's lawyer, is a player. And we're going to find that out. And we're going to find out who paid him. And I promise you, it's going to be like everything else we learn in the story. He's connected to the plotters. Everything is a plot around a subplot, around a counterplot, around a cover plot. It's just, it's like digging into an onion. You peel one layer and you find another, and you peel it back and there's another, and then there's another, there's another. There's a never-ending layer as you peel this onion. And as far as the hearings yesterday, of course, I guess most of you know that you probably heard it was reported that the Penguin, Jerry Nadler, was involved in a car wreck. Well, Nadler was actually involved yesterday in 2 wrecks. Only one of them involved a car. Thank you so much. Be back tomorrow with more TowerGate. See ya. Bye.